Hello, there's been more interesting developments in banker news last week. Let's start with the death of a fifth executive high-level banker, Ryan Henry Crane, who was the executive director of the JP Global Equities Group. Now, Ryan Henry Crane was found dead in his home in Connecticut at age 37. And they said the reasons for his death, although most people can fathom that dying at 37 from natural causes probably is not likely, unless he was excessively obese or had some other kind of medical condition, which wasn't spoken of anywhere in the news. They said basically that the cause of his death won't be known until a toxicology report that will come out about 6 weeks later. So the interesting thing that has come out of this, and this hasn't made a lot of news because it wasn't a banker suicide, or he wasn't thought to have been suicided by other bankers as of yet. But here's where the story gets interesting. Now, Ryan Henry Crane oversaw all the trading platforms as executive director of the Global Equities Group at JP Morgan. And who was the banker that committed suicide, apparently, off the London headquarters? Gabriel McGee. What was his position? His position was head of IT and trading platform. So banking sources come forth. Now I can't confirm this, but someone within JP Morgan easily could confirm whether this is true or not, that apparently Ryan Henry Crane, the fifth dead banker found last week, and Gabriel McGee worked extremely closely together. So that would seem to be, if that were true, which I do not yet know, and have not heard any journalists yet confirm that that was true, but such a close working relationship should not be hard to verify, because there are probably dozens of other JP Morgan employees that would have seen them together, talking together, working together. Now, if that were true, it would seem that these deaths then were not coincidental, that there is some kind of link between why both of these people died. And that would be very interesting. Now, if it turns out it was true that they had a close working relationship, then someone needs to open up an independent investigation into this, because it's a chance opportunity to nail Jamie Dimon for conspiracy to murder, or at least people very high up in the bank, if it turns out that they were offed because of what they both knew working very intimately with JP Morgan's trading platforms. Okay, in other news, Bitcoin dropped to $302 on Mt. Gox. What used to be the leading Bitcoin exchange in the entire world. So it still is hovering. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, MTGOX. But on other Bitcoin exchanges, it is still trading around $625. But the fact of the matter is, just in November, it was trading at a high, I believe on a Brazilian exchange, at $1,400. So no matter what exchange you looked at, it's dropped over 50% in just a little over 2 months, which even the US dollar has not done, or any other currency. You look at the currencies of people that are saying are crashing, like the Argentinian peso, down 40%. It's down 40% since a year ago. So it still took a year, not 2 months. And that's the very reason in March why I wrote, there is no sound money but physical gold and physical silver. And I wrote all the reasons why I was hesitant to buy into Bitcoin. And in fact, when my clients asked me about Bitcoin, whether they should be buying, I told them no, stay out of Bitcoin and continue to accumulate physical gold and physical silver. Because they can't, if it's in your hand, they can't take that away from you, whereas something digital could go poof in the middle of the night. So I still hope that Bitcoin survives as an alternate foreign currency, because I'm all for currency competition. But you can read about, I'll put the links in the video description below if you're watching on YouTube, the 2 articles I wrote all the way back in March 2013 that contain all my reservations about Bitcoin that has since come true in the past 3 months. So I warned about this a long time ago, that what is happening right now in Bitcoin could happen. Now, the other reason I was really suspicious of Bitcoin continuing its parabolic trajectory at that point was because it was in the mass media, it was in the forefront of mass media. Everyone was talking about Bitcoin breaking the $1,000 BTC barrier. Now, nothing, I'm telling you, nothing gets into the mass media by mistake because it is the bankers that control the mass media. So that alone worried me that Bitcoin was running over all these headlines and newspapers, was being discussed in the financial media on TV, because nothing, like I said, it's only through deliberation that Bitcoin would be in the forefront of news at that time. So I thought it was a typical banker sucker ploy. They're trying to sucker people into Bitcoin just before they plan to slam it down, just before they plan to try to push the price down through whatever means necessary, through a variety of different means. And I indeed think that that is what happened. They suckered people in, slammed it down so people would lose their faith in Bitcoin as an alternate competitive currency to the US dollar, the euro, the pound sterling, and the yen. So, of course, we see right now, and that can, as further proof of the fact that bankers control the mass media, is that you see nothing right now about gold stocks performance, gold and silver mining stocks performance this year, even though they have been the best performers of any asset class in 2014. You don't hear last year at the end of, actually the beginning of this year, in January 2014, you saw huge headlines on MarketWatch.com. Said something to the effect, can gold go to $800? Again, promoting the whole Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs meme that gold was going to go under $1,000. That $1,000 barrier is going to break through it and keep going lower this year in 2014. But now that gold has been the best performing asset of 2014, you don't see that. You don't see headlines on MarketWatch saying gold is the best performing asset of 2014. You don't see on any headline of any mass media magazine, newspaper, TV show, you don't see the fact that gold and silver miners have been up 30, 40, 50% to start this year discussed anywhere. So that's what I mean, is that if it's being discussed, there's some deliberate action and reason that bankers are planning around the asset, why it's being discussed to that level. And that's why I was really wary when Bitcoin was being discussed at such a high level of frequency in the mass media. Now, the last thing I want to discuss in the weekly roundup of banker news is a case. It's not really banking related, but it has to do with the excesses of the wealthy and the immorality of this type of greed and excess. And it is the case of Ethan Couch, a 16-year-old kid that stole beer earlier in the day with a bunch of his friends, then drank so much beer that he was 3 times the legal limit. His blood alcohol content was 0.24, 3 times over the legal legal driving limit of 0.08 blood alcohol content. He was driving 68 to 70 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone and killed 4 people. 4 people, including parents that had children. So he left kids with no father. And Ethan Couch got 0 time. The judge, Jean Boyd, Jean Boyd, the teenager's name, Ethan Couch, Ethan Couch. Now, the presiding judge said that basically it was a case of affluenza. The kid was so rich and privileged, he didn't understand the consequences of bad behavior. Therefore, I'm giving him 0. Now, he got 0 jail time for stealing. He started by stealing beers, getting flat out drunk, having 3 times the blood alcohol content level, driving 70 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, and leaving children without a father. And he got 0 days in jail. Now that is just, that's infuriating. And it's something, if you're watching this video, I hope you spread to Anonymous, because Anonymous needs to go and publicize Ethan Couch's address, and needs to publicize the address of that judge too, Gene Boyd, that gave this child not even a child, he's an adult. At 16, you're smart enough to know what's right or wrong. But the whole defense's argument was that the kid grew up under so much wealth and privilege that he was never punished for bad behavior, so he didn't understand the difference between right and wrong. This is not Lord of the Flies, and this is not Piggy that this kid killed. And he didn't have a mob urging him to kill Piggy. He made this decision to steal beer, to get drunk, to drive way over the speed limit, and to leave kids without their father. Now, I'm not saying this corruption doesn't happen in other countries, because in Thailand you have the 27-year-old grandson to the founder of Red Bull, the heir to the multi-billion-dollar fortune, not multi-billion Thai baht fortune, multi-billion-dollar fortune, was drunk driving in his Ferrari, killed an officer, a police officer, dragged the body more than 100 meters, and he got off and did spend a single day in jail. And not only that, the corruption is so bad in Thailand that the cops actually tried to cover, even though one of their own colleagues was murdered by this guy, tried to cover for him because wealth buys anything in any country, and actually arrested someone else falsely and accused them of the murder of the cop to try to cover for this kid, kid who was driving drunk and murdered someone. So that is unbelievable, because say that happened in Los Angeles, there's no way cops would, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett's son and you murdered another cop drunk driving, they would have found the kid and beat the kid so senseless you wouldn't even be able to recognize him. They would have beat him so badly you wouldn't even be able to recognize him by looking at his face anymore. That's what happened in the U.S. But in Thailand, like the family paid off the family of the murdered person $97,000. That's it. They're a billionaire, multi-billionaire family, and they paid them $97,000 for the loss of their father, which is crazy, because that shows you again the arrogance of the extremely wealthy, that they value someone else's life as, hey, you know, our son murdered your father, sorry, but here's $97,000. We have billions, but we're going to give you something that's equivalent of like 10 cents to us. Here you go, and shut up and go away. So that is crazy, but as crazy as that is, that's not as crazy as the defense for Ethan Couch, which is that the kid was so spoiled he didn't know the difference between right and wrong. Because even as corrupt as things are, certain elements are in Thailand, they don't try to argue that this kid was so wealthy that he didn't understand the difference between right and wrong. They just put the corruption out there. Here, we're going to pay you off, and then we're going to get the kid out of the country. That's it. So, you know, they did try to hide the fact that's the wealth that bought their kids freedom. But in the U.S., they actually argued as a defense. He's so wealthy and spoiled, he can't tell the difference between right and wrong. And that actually went down with the judge. He said, I agree. Not a single day in jail for stealing. Not a single day in jail for drunk driving. Not a single day in jail for killing 4 people. And that is the insanity of it all. Not only are bankers immune to prosecution, now wealthy kids can murder are immune to prosecution. This is just getting out of hand. And the reason why I want Anonymous, so if anyone's watching this, please pass this on to Anonymous. I want Anonymous to go find the judge, the address of the judge, and the address of the teenage kid where he lives, and to publicize their addresses, because they need to be publicly shamed every single day. Because as I said in one of my prior videos, now I'll put the link below, Ask JP Morgan, I talked about public shaming and how it's effective into bringing rogue behavior back in line. We saw actually that, I published that video about a month ago, and we actually saw the shaming effect work with Blind Masters, who was appointed to the CFTC, but after so much fury rose on Twitter, she actually withdrew her appointment to the CFTC. So public shaming does work. And in fact, you can add the defense attorney for Ethan Couch, Reagan Wynn, Winn, and also the psychologist that helped him get off, Dr. G. Dick. I can't remember his last name. Hold on. Okay, I just looked it up. Dr. G. Dick Miller. So Anonymous should release the addresses for all four of this, because those people need to be shamed, publicly shamed, every single day to remind them of what atrocious human beings all of them are, getting a murderous teenager off on defense of affluenza. You know, they make it sound like influenza, like it's a disease. No, it's a disease. Your disease is an absence of morality. So there's no kind of unpreventable reason which they try to present it. Oh, he's too rich to know any better. So let's use this defense of affluenza and get him off with 0 jail time for murdering 4 people. It's just like so despicable. It is just beyond even explanation. So the psychologist G. Dick Miller argued that this kid should not go to jail, spend any time in jail because he was too rich to know right from wrong. Same with the judge, Gene Boyd. And let me tell you something. This judge, Gene Boyd, presided over a case in which a 14-year-old black teenager punched another kid in the head. The person fell over, hit their head, and died. And Judge Gene Boyd gave that 14-year-old kid 10 years in jail. 10 years in jail. And he gave the 16-year-old kid that killed 4 people nothing. Nothing. In fact, as conditions of his probation, his probation schedule includes cooking classes, yoga, meditation, horse riding, mixed martial arts. I love to be his mixed martial arts teacher because I would beat on this kid every single day. So, like, I see it as anyone's duty, because I showed you the picture of Judge Gene Boyd, I showed you the picture of Ethan Couch, I showed you the picture of that psychologist, that despicable psychologist, G. Dick Miller, that if anyone sees them, that you need to shame them constantly, call them horrible human beings, because that's what they are. They're horrible human beings with no morality, and they're part of the justice system. That is ridiculous. So these people need to be shamed every single minute of every single day. Anyone that's watching this video sees them, and I hope that is what happens to them. That's why, too, in previous videos, you know, I have a playlist called Life 101 where I've talked about the importance of doing something really difficult in your life, because, you know, in martial arts we talk about how a sword that's not gone through fire, that's been not tempered through the trials and tribulations of fire, will yield a brittle steel that could break easily in battle when tested. But a sword that has been tested through fire and basically tempered through fire comes out as the strongest steel that will hold up in battle. So I believe that about martial arts too. Not only does it teach you spiritual beliefs that serve you well in life and all throughout life, but it hardens your body, your mind, gives you physical training, whereas if you have accomplished something extremely difficult, and if you're going through a decent school with a decent teacher. Now I know like the level of black belt has different meanings at all different schools, and I fought black belts at sparring that I couldn't believe they had a black belt. I mean, what kind of school is giving you this? So there is a difference amongst schools, and you need a good teacher to make you earn it. But for the most part, I say people that have earned a black belt have gone through a lot of difficult training, and there's something about that training, and especially if your sensei or your sifu makes you fight as part of your training all the time, there is something that builds character in you, that struggle, and that is an important part of life that these privileged kids don't have. They're never made to pay for anything bad that they do, or they're used to using money to get everything they want. They go into like the most popular new restaurant and they don't have to wait in line because they slip the host a couple $100 and then they get a table. I saw this kind of behavior in the school I went to, because the school I went to was full of rich kids. I think it's critical for everyone in life to challenge themselves and do something that is extremely difficult for them to achieve, to learn that stick-to-itiveness, to achieve it, and not to build character within you. And everybody needs that, and that's a good lesson, because you don't build character through the easy times in life. The happy times are great. Everyone wants them. We should all enjoy them when we have them, and everyone deserves those blessings. But it is a struggle of going through something extremely difficult that builds character and that also builds gratitude in you. So you're grateful for the times things are blessed in your life, and you just don't take it for granted and feel the sense of entitlement that you deserve it, which happens with a lot of people. So I remember in my training, like I'm 170 now, but I was 155 when I was in my mid-20s, and we started to do strength training, and I saw myself get stronger. And then my sensei, he put 315 pounds on the bench press and told me to do it. And I just looked at him like, are you crazy? I can't do that. And he always told me, he said, shut up and do it. And he said it so sternly to me that I didn't want to question him. So I just got under the bench and I was like, this thing is going to crush me. I'm going to die. But he spotted me the whole way, and of course I couldn't do it. But within 2 months, I put up 315, almost twice my body weight at 160. And I was able to do that on my own once. So I think that, the lesson is that there are things that you think can't be achievable, because I would have thought there's no way I'm ever going to put up twice my body weight and be able to do this. And I achieved it. So going through something hard, and the strength training was something we did before our class even started. So we would go through like a half hour of strength training, and then when we were already tired, extremely tired for strength training, then we would start class. And that every day, and going to that every day when I was tired after a full day at work, when I was mentally exhausted, I would still go. I would go at times when I was really sick, and I would still go and train. And that built character in me. And I saw that same character in a lot of my colleagues too, because a lot of martial artists that I met through training remain to this day some of the best people I have ever met, because they've gone through something extremely hard and it built great character in them. Okay, so that's news of the day, or news of the week. And please pass this video on to your friends and family again. And don't forget to comment below. And as always, remain intensely curious. Until next time, so long. Take care.